Hi guys, I'm Shmee. Hello to you and welcome back to the channel where today you join me to get started on my project car, the Ford Focus RS Red Edition. I've owned the car for about a month, only managed to drive it 600 miles or so, but we're getting started on a complete overhaul of this car. The interior, the exterior, things like the wheels, the exhaust, maybe upgrades to the engine. It's all going to be happening. If we can think about it, we're going to do it. This is a full-on project. Today though, we're going to be getting started at Prototrim with the interior. There are two things about the Mark III Focus RS that a lot of people pick up on that aren't quite up to par or could be improved on, and today we're going to be attacking those and getting started. So this is it. It's time to modify the Focus RS. Let's check it out. In the sunshine here then, we have two Focus RSs, and it's quite interesting to compare them because they are both the Edition variants, but there are actually some differences between them. My Red Edition is one of 300 painted in race red for the UK, and this car is Prototrim's Demonstrator. It's a blue edition, one of 500 in the nitrous blue, the same colour as my previous Focus RS that I ran for the last 2 years, and they have already done quite a lot of interior work to that we're going to check out in a moment to give us some ideas and the theme to carry out into this car. But like I said, this is actually my second of 3 Focus RSs that I now own in total. The blue one's just gone for sale, but the Red Edition, I bought it about 4 weeks ago or so. I wish I had had time to drive it more, but I've not really been around the UK, hence only getting 600 miles on the clock, so it's not even yet fully running, which is why we're getting started on the interior side of things, the visual modifications, as opposed to going near the engine or the exhaust, that side of stuff quite yet. We'll get to that very, very soon. But the two things that I was talking about that are not necessarily the best on the Focus RS, and let's come and have a look at the inside of it. The first one is basically the fit and finish and the quality. This is a car that from factory packs 350 horsepower, 2.3 litre turbocharged engine up front, the EcoBoost engine making 350 horsepower. It is rapid 4-wheel drive system. It's an awful lot of fun to drive, 6-speed manual, but you look inside and it's basically very similar to the standard Ford Focus, right? The third generation of Ford's Focus. It's not the highest quality of materials. You look around, there isn't really anything that stands out. Yes, the Edition version has some lovely carbon fibre parts, like the handbrake cover you have here, the trim panel that you get on the door as well, just there, and also on the gauges up on the dashboard, that's in carbon fibre. But outside of that, it's all, quite plasticky. This, for example, yes, there's a little bit of padding to it, but it doesn't look quality. And if you come to the back, the top roll in the back is just completely plastic. It's not the nicest thing. So this is one of my negatives about the car, is that inside it doesn't feel as the car performs, if I can say that. This doesn't live up to what this car is actually capable of. So that is one thing that we're going to be focusing on, fitting an interior here at Prototrim to really bring up the perceived level of quality of the interior of this car. The other thing is the seat position. Now this has been discussed at length. When the Focus launched, everybody talked about how the seats are just too high. For a bucket seat, they should be sitting down a notch. And to fix that problem, I got in touch with JCR Developments, who make this kit in the boot, some lowering seat frames. You can get those, take out the front seats, put them in again, and lower them down to a more sporty seating position. So we're going to get those fitted while all of this is actually being done. But when I say that, the seat's coming out because they need to be retrimmed. So let's head round and have a look at Prototrim's car here, just to talk about it. I'll get to the interior in just a second. Before we do, some differences about the car. Those are the normal wheels. The Blue Edition comes with blue calipers. That's the forged option wheel, but the Red Edition comes with those unpainted grey calipers. They're not even painted. They aren't that quality. It's a funny one. Another big difference between them is this car has gloss black mirrors, roof and spoiler. The Blue Edition had satin black mirrors, roof and spoiler. It's interesting that they did that differently between the two cars. I'm not entirely sure why, but hey, that's how they decided to do it. So are you ready to see inside this car? Boom. How good does that look? A blue finish to match with the exterior of the car, leathers and Alcantaras that are used inside it. But look at the seats, look at the way they've been redone, new patterns, new splits of the colour. You've got these side bolster sections mixing in with the contrasting stitch, well, the matching stitch to those additional sides. You've got the pleating up through the centre of the seats. It's just absolutely lovely. The quality is so significantly improved, but this is my favourite bit, the door panel. The fitting of the colour into this section inside the door, the new top rolls with the twin stitch along the top of them in leather, that just brings so much more out of it. And that's why we're doing this, because this looks it almost looks factory, right? That's the whole point of this and why they create it. It looks like that's how it should have been, and they have even carried that through into the rear. The rear matches up to the same quality as the front, so the seat backs are finished here, matching material. The actual rear seats are also pleated and finished in the exact same style, and they've even introduced a mix of Alcantara and leather in that center section, which is super smart. This is, I think it looks really nice. I'm sure you guys agree. So this is the first time I've ever heavily customized the interior of a car, so I'm quite excited to be doing this with Prototrim. It's the little things like flocking these are normally plastic. Look, so picture that. Let's just swing back round and have a look at mine for a second so you can see the difference here. Doesn't this look so plain in comparison? Look at the seats. Don't they look like they need something livened back into them? The plastic bits here, these toppers that I was talking about. And this Blue Edition isn't complete, by the way. There are more parts to come. For example, the dashboard elements need to be done over the top here, and that's going to be done using leather and Alcantara to match with the rear. But basically, with this section, I'm inclined to say let's do this in red. Let's do exactly the same as we're looking at here, with a red finish instead of a blue, because I think it will look awesome. That's new as well, actually. That's a new stitch to just shape up the headrest area even more. For my car, I'm going to be changing my steering wheel, so we won't have to worry about the blue stitch. We're going to be definitely changing the blue stitching you see here, around the shifter, around the handbrake gaiter as well. All those parts, so those will all need changing. But this is nice. This is genuinely really nice. And it's going to bring so much more into this. So I'm quite excited. Actually, I'm just going to take a seat in their Blue Edition. Sorry, I'm whizzing backwards and forwards from one to the other here. But that's actually because I'm quite excited about it. Oh, look at that. This is lovely. See, this is how it should have been. And this is what I was saying about the Focus RS. I love this car. I love it a lot. I've driven them so much between my previous ownership, now with the Red Edition, and then with the Heritage Edition coming too. But the interior has been something that lets it down slightly. And Prototrim are going to fix that. This is going to be epic. I've ventured into the workshop where things are already in progress for my car, and you wouldn't believe quite how much goes into this. So let's take a quick look around, starting right here with some of the parts that are going to make up the interior for my very car. There are about 100 to 150 templated parts alone for the interior of the Focus RS, and these are the very parts that have already been cut in the black leather that are going to find themselves into various different parts of my car. So different parts of the seats, the door panels, and the different aspects depending what they're for. Down beneath, those are the original seat covers from the Blue Edition that were of course replaced with the ones that we've now seen. But these will then be combined with the Alcantara that we have here, so the black Alcantara and this roll of red. This is going to go very well with the car. Alcantara is a lightweight material, it's a very sporty material. Of course, you often find it in supercars and goes well with the leather that you find in luxury cars. But this is going to contrast very nicely with black, of course with contrast stitching, so the black parts with the red stitch, and then you add in textured elements as well. So this is how the pleating works down the seat. This is going to be the cushion for one of the seats, one of the front driver's seats, which is stitched along the back. So you fold it over and stitched it down to keep the stitch completely hidden behind the back. But that, with the foam padding on the back, is going to become one of the seats right there. In fact, all of this is going to become the interior that we're going to see in my very car in future. Let me fill you in on some of the backstory as to how it's come to be that we're getting this project started at Prototrim. So back a month ago when I collected the Red Edition, it was the double collection day, the Red Edition and also the Orange Heritage Edition RS, my two new RSs. I haven't actually driven the Heritage yet, it's still on delivery mileage. I'm going to be picking it up on a 68 plate in September, so that's how the UK registrations work. But given that it's one of only 50 cars, it's going to be staying just about completely stock, unlike this one. But with about 2 miles on the clock of this car from Essex Ford driving over to meet up with the guys from Prototrim, we saw that exact blue RS behind. At the time, it just had the samples on the door cards and some smaller samples of the different colours as some ideas for what we could do. Well, we spent some time talking it through, talking about the themes, talking about how to do the layout inside the car, a bit like what you see now that's going to be replicated into my Red RS. So this is one of Prototrim's niche bespoke projects. They're one-offs, so to speak, alongside their There are other departments that focus more on working with companies like Urban Automotive, Overfinch. They even do the Singer 911s as well, the interiors in those cars, as well as different concepts and things that we see at motor shows. So it's really cool to be here working with them on the interior of this car. Now let's take a walk around to talk about the other mods that are going to be coming to it that we know about so far. First things first then, the interior and the seat frames from JCR. That's where we're getting started. Then I think the next thing is going to be some of the larger exterior parts. So I'm working with Ventus Veloce, who make a carbon fiber body kit for the car. So just by way of an example, the car's going to get a carbon fiber bonnet, carbon fiber grille, splitter, lower splitter, the fog lamp inserts, side skirts, a large carbon fiber rear spoiler, also the diffuser down at the back. So that's an aerodynamic cosmetic side that's going to enhance the look of it a lot. We're going to change these wheels. I think initially, as I've alluded to before, I might paint them gold to make it red and gold, the color scheme of my inbound Ford GT. I'll have to paint the calipers as well because the unpainted calipers on here do not look good. But longer term, we will change the wheels, we will change the springs, we will of course change the exhaust system because actually driving the stock one is quite quiet now. Then after that, we'll start, I guess, approaching the engine, the intake, that side of the car. There'll be lots of little things along the way, like on the inside, I want to change the steering wheel, of course, give it a carbon fiber steering wheel. We can get the Ford Performance drift stick, the thing you might have seen online. I'd love to give that a go so we can make the most of the drift mode that this car has, the monumentally mega drift mode that it has available to us. And then just kind of small things around and about. For example, as I fumble for the key in my pocket, even the key is, or both keys are red from paint mods. Just a small little thing, but how cool is that as a touch? And then I've got the orange ones for the Heritage Edition as well. But if you can think of anything that you'd like to see changed on this, let me know. I mean, outside of the obvious things that I've mentioned, I want to completely turn this into a project based on the red appearance, but I imagine it's going to look kind of different when it's finished. A bit of a track weapon. Maybe I'll have to go and do some Nürburgring laps with it when it's all fully set up. But it looks good like this. It's going to look awesome when it's done. It's the first time I've really got fully involved in a bit of a project car, to be honest. I've never completely modified and overhauled a car like this, so I'm intrigued to see how it's going to turn out. Anyway, the guys in there are cracking on. I am very excited to see how this turns out. This is just stage one, the interior at Prototrim and the lower seat frames from JCR, but there are going to be quite a few more stages. I'm going to share the entire journey with you, hopefully get the car out to as many events as we can when these modifications are well and truly underway. Anyway, it's a big thanks to the guys here at Prototrim. I hope you guys are going to enjoy this story and seeing the car in the future with all of its changes. That is it for stage one though, to get us underway. I'm looking forward to seeing how this looks when I come and pick up the car in a couple of weeks' time. So thank you very much as always for watching, guys. I appreciate your support and I will catch up with you again very soon. Cheers.